your city. Gonna play our guitars and sing you a country song. We'll all be flying higher than a jetliner. And if you want a little bang in your yin-yang, come along.
Well, come on along and welcome aboard to Indiana Sports Beat Radio. Of course, coming to you here on this Wednesday, Hump Day, September 25. Woo, we're flying, man. We're flying. Heading towards October in a hurry. Lots to get to today on the program. Matt Weaver from Pigs.com. Looking forward to talking to Matt, but we've got a lot of Indiana basketball. Yesterday was media day at IU. We spoke to the individual players. Today we have to go back out and speak to Archie. He couldn't be there, so it's been split up into 2 days. But we'll hear from Devontae, Duran, Al Durham, Rob Fennessy, Jerome Hunter, Joey Brunk, Trace Jackson Davis, Race Thompson. Who am I leaving out? We might hear from him anyway. Demezy. I think I said Al Durham. Demezy Anderson, no, that's one. Jerome Hunter for sure. Jerome Hunter had been cleared for all basketball activities. That means he has no restrictions. You just have to wonder what's in the back of his head. Any worries? I mean, it's got to be a constant worry that after having sat out for so long and not played. Hopefully he could come along and be a contributor because that would be huge for that basketball team. I think Joey Brunk is going to be a very, very nice addition. He's very well spoken. I think he's just like a yeoman, man. He comes to work. He brings the lunchbox and goes to work. But speaking to the media is not their favorite thing to do. If you were there, you could tell. It just, man, getting answers was difficult out of most of them. There was one point where I think Race was with Joey Brunk, going on memory, and the first 5 questions was to Joey, and then we were directed, any questions for Race? Someone asked him a question, and his answer was just simply no. No. One-word answer. But we've got a lot to get to in that regard. Indiana football taking on Michigan State this weekend up in East Lansing. We'll be up there, of course, bringing you complete coverage. Last night, the men's soccer team on the road up in Indianapolis at the Butler Bowl proved to be too much as the Butler Bulldogs knock off the number 5 Indiana Hoosiers 2-1. Butler took a 1-0 lead early and never let. They were actually up 2-0. Aaron Schifrin was up there, our good friend. He said it was a rough game for Indiana. They dominated everything but the score, but fell victim to Butler's long balls twice on counters. Butler plays a style of throwing balls over the top and much more offensive-minded than most teams IU plays. Herbert Endeley drew another PK early, but Victor Becerra missed it this time, and Butler used a long ball and a bad Jordan Klein clearance for a 1-0 lead. There's some mistakes off of the youth. Butler used another long ball early in the second half for a goal and later almost made it 3-0 on a third long shot that hit the post. The combination of fast turf and fast strikers make Butler deadly at home. IU got a late goal from Mayer off of a corner, but couldn't equalize to take the first loss of the year. That's from Aaron Schifrin. Aaron, thank you so much, brother. Yeah, they've been flirting with the loss It's a young team. It's a very young team. A lot of freshmen on this IU men's soccer team. But it's good to get these over early as Big Ten play. They'll get back to Big Ten play when they come back. Rough night for the Hoosiers. They take the loss. This weekend, Indiana travels to East Lansing, Michigan to take on the Spartans of Michigan State. There was a clip yesterday I saw that, I wonder if I can find that. Mark D'Antonio. He was talking about, he made the mistake that I make a lot. I don't even want to say it because it'll lead me back to making that same mistake. Oh, man, it's probably too far back. But he was talking about Peyton Ramsey, and he called him the other Peyton. I'm not even going to say it because as soon as it gets in my head, I won't be able to stop. It is an easy mistake to make, I think, especially when you're talking about a quarterback in the state of Indiana. He called him that and kind of laughed.
Who are you alluding to? It's real confusing.
Peyton Ramsey. Yes, I'm not. Jake's trying to get me to say it. Nope. I don't want that worm in my head. But I couldn't find it. But the big news for Indiana basketball is that Jerome Hunter's involved in all basketball-related activities. That was a release that was given to us yesterday. That gives them an extra player. I'm not sure how soon that he can actually be a contributor based on just the tone of the just the talk. There seems to be a little bit of caution on his part, but he's certainly ready. As a matter of fact, we've got Jerome Hunter talking about that very thing.
What has the last year been like? How tough has it been? And just what do you feel like maybe you've learned about that? Whether obviously it's not something you wanted to go through, but what do you feel like you've learned about kind of the process you've had to go through?
I never had to sit out a year before the basketball, so last year really hurt. But as you keep getting through it, you start thinking of other things and how you can get better off the court. And so that's all I focused on, just how next year I could be the best player I can be.
Trying to go off that, just not being able to play basketball, did you kind of go to any other things non-basketball related to kind of keep yourself busy and just try to stay strong mentally?
No, not really. I watched a lot of basketball. I just tried to be a student of the game, just learn more and more, as much as I could.
That was Jerome Hunter, who's been cleared for all basketball activities. He will be practicing. First day of practice, by the way, September 28th. Ooh, 3 days away. That's set by when your first game is. You're allowed to start practicing X number of days prior to your first game, which is then what also helps determine who's your hysteria, et cetera, all that. So we've got a lot to get to you here today. Lots of players' reactions. Talk to them. Archie Miller will meet with him today. I'll have that tomorrow. The next week, we're in Chicago for the Big Ten Media Days. Hopefully we'll have some players on up there. And then Hoosier Hysteria is on Saturday. So, man, just get ready. It's coming at you. You got football this weekend in East Lansing. Hopefully the return of Michael Penix. Very little talk about that. But it was ironic. I wish I could find that piece with D'Antonio because he's talking about Peyton Ramsey, and so I'm wondering who's really going to be the quarterback. I think Michael Penix is coming back for this game. Mark D'Antonio still dealing with the fallout, in which a former staffer says the two assistants told D'Antonio not to offer scholarship to Austin Robertson. Robertson was later sexually assaulted an MSU student. So they've got more of that stuff going on. Man, I can't find that. I was hoping to. But no, can't find it. Oh, well. We've got plenty of IU basketball today, man. We have got tons of it. We've talked to everybody yesterday. Where are we? Devontae kind of opened it up, Jake. You got Devontae? He opened up, I think he was the first question, was in the first group that came in. Yesterday was picture day, got pictures taken. They did it differently this year. This is how it should be. It was back over in Assembly Hall. Last year, they did it all in Cook Hall, which I guess it doesn't really matter where they take it. But here's Devontae talking about being a leader on this team.
Devontae, I remember talking to you after the NIT game last year about next year you're going to be one of the guys that has to lead this team, and you seem to relish that opportunity. Now that you're closer to doing that, how are you feeling as far as being one of those guys that they're going to be looking back at you for leadership?
I think I've been playing the role pretty well so far as a leader of this team. As we know, the guys, just naturally are looked at as the leader. So I think I've been doing well so far.
That was Devontae Green. He also talked about what this offense is going to look like this year. A lot of questions surrounding that because, I'll be quite frank, I don't know what it looked like last year. Other than some standing around, I got to be honest. I'm really confused on the offense that's run by Archie Miller. After 2 years still, I do not have a full grasp upon what is actually going on the floor. But here's Devontae talking about what it should look like this year.
Maybe this is for Devontae, since you're the oldest here. I think Coach Miller talked a little bit about more of the offense, predicate more emotion off the ball, a little bit more action away from the ball. And is that a role that maybe you can take on, being a guy who comes off screens and shoots and takes on more of a shooting guard role off a pass?
I think there's going to be a lot more off-ball movement and involving everyone on the team. And I think it'll be good for us because we're constantly having the defense move.
There's Devontae Green. It's kind of difficult to hear it, and the answers are short, but that's what it was like all day. So, welcome to our world. Text into the show from Tim. Do we have 3 bugs on the floor at one time? Davis, Trace Jackson, and Joey Brunk, ? I think he meant, yeah, there you go. I think he meant Biggs. I was looking at that going, okay, there's a code word here that I'm missing. Are they from a certain region? How do you pick a starting lineup? Do you go with last year's players, Davis, Smith, Green, Finney, or Durham? What about Trace Jackson, Brunk, Race Thompson, Franklin, Anderson, Hunter? This is going to be hard. No, not really. I don't think so. I mean, I think it's going to be very easy. You got Rob Finney, Devontae Green, and Al Durham probably starting at the top. And you're probably going to be starting Joey Brunk and Trace Jackson Davis. Well, no, there's Deron Davis. I don't know if he's going to start or come in. He'd probably start because he's a senior. So you go with Deron Davis and Trace Jackson. No, there's Justin Smith. Forget about that. Justin Smith's going to be starting, along with Deron Davis most likely. And then the other three that I gave you, that's what I assume it will be. Archie likes to run that three-guard offense. We'll certainly see. There's going to be a big mixture. I think he's going to have a little bit bigger. He's got less scholarship players, but he's going to have a bigger rotation. We got a lot to talk about, man, on the basketball side. We got a lot to hear from the guys. Jerome Hunter, we'll hear from Jerome, Joey Brunk, Trace Jackson, Rob Fennessy, Al Durham, Deron Davis, Devontae, Demezy Anderson. We'll talk to all of them. Back with more here on Indiana Sports Beat Radio from the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios right after this.
Mama gives you money for Sunday school. You trade yours for candy after church is through. Smoking cigarettes, writing something nasty on the wall.
Hello, everybody. Jim Coyle from Indiana Sports Beat. When I'm not covering the Hoosiers, you can find me at Bubba's 33 in Clarksville, located on the northeast corner of I-65 at Veterans Parkway. Bubba's 33 has hand-tossed pizzas, bold burgers, and ice-cold beer from a select list of local craft brewers. An incredible food selection, all made fresh daily. Whether you're meeting the team for that post-win meal in the family dining area or meeting friends for happy hour to watch the game on one of Bubba's 50 TVs. Bubba's 33 in Clarksville. Pizza, burgers, beer.
We all want a winning smile for those championship photos, and that's exactly what you will get at Reynolds Family Dentistry in Sellersburg. Reynolds Family Dentistry has been serving the dental needs of Hoosier families for over 30 years. Let Doctors Roger and Jay Reynolds take care of your family. Just off of I-65 at 809 South Indiana Avenue in Sellersburg. Call 812-246-3368. That's Reynolds Family Dentistry, 812-246-3368.
Now that warm weather has arrived, it's time to hit the links, and there's no better place than the Golf Club at Eagle Point in Bloomington. Voted best golf course by the readers of the Bloomington Herald-Times, the Golf Club at Eagle Point is under new ownership, has new fairways and bunkers, and it's open to the public. When the round's over, there's cold beer and a full menu at the Eagle Point Pub and Bistro. Call 812-824-1100 to make a tee time. That's 812-824-1100. The Golf Club at Eagle Point in Bloomington.
This is AJ Moye.
This is Dan Dockett.
Hey, this is Michael Lewis, former Indiana basketball player.
This is Indiana football coach Tom Allen.
This is Jim Coyle with the Indiana Sports Beat. You can always like and follow us on Facebook. Always follow the show rebroadcast on iTunes, Google Play, iHeartRadio, Spotify. TheDailyHoosier.com is a great place to sign up for each and every day. Or, of course, on 97.7 The Ref in Evansville. For the best recycling and waste removal service, turn to the area's leader, Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling, a homegrown company serving southern Indiana since 1995. Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling serves Floyd, Clark, Harrison, and Washington counties. For excellent service and peace of mind, call Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling today at 812-944-5642. That's 812-944-5642. Keep life sweet with Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling.
I'm Rain Shaddy, and I'm a Hoosier. As a toddler, you could always find me running around in a cream and crimson onesie and a red IU hat reminiscent of those worn during the world-famous William Tell timeout, shouting, "Go Hoosiers!" Like many other alum, I chose to make Bloomington my home. As a civic and alumni leader, I have become very knowledgeable about our community and would love to share my insights with you as your realtor. Find me on Facebook or call or text me, Ryan Shaddy, with FC Tucker Bloomington Realtors at 765-623-9093.
You're on the line with Jamal Meeks, former Indiana Hoosier, number 23, 1992. And I'm on the beat with Jim Coyle.
Today's guest is brought to you by Reynolds Family Dentistry of Sellersburg. You need $1 million smile for those championship photos, and that's exactly what you'll get with Reynolds Family Dentistry. Welcome back to Indiana Sports Beat Radio Sportscast here on this Tuesday. Joined now by one of the best, your favorites, Chronic Hoosier. Chronic, how are you, my friend?
Could not be better. It's officially autumn in Bloomington, and Indiana's done with the non-conference season. It probably as good as you could have expected. Soccer's rolling. We are officially in the fall season now, and it's a good time to be a Hoosier.
Yeah, man, that weather was incredible yesterday in Bloomington. It was awesome. There was a great breeze. There was no humidity. It was just a beautiful, beautiful day. Of course, you've got the winning flag hanging up over Memorial Stadium. Indiana with a big win, 38-3 over UConn. You got soccer rolling as well. They're back in action tonight. Big match up in Butler at the Butler Bowl tonight, by the way. But lots going on. That's all positive right now for Indiana.
It is. My daughter called it out tonight. We're starting to get that briskness to the air in the evening as well, and you gotta love it when Bloomington gets back in. Starts veering towards jeans and sweatshirt weather. We're not quite there yet. It's still pretty hot during the day, but it's making for some phenomenal chances to get outside, whether it be tailgate, go watch the soccer team. It's about as good as life in Bloomington can get once the humidity dials down. And as you mentioned, it's always a sunnier day when the victory flag is flying over Memorial.
It always helps, matter of fact. But this weekend, Indiana's got a tough one on tap as they travel for their first road game of the season. They went to Indianapolis to start the season off against Ball State, but that was it's just a quasi road game. This is a for real road game. You're in the Big Ten and you're going to East Lansing, so this is going to be a much tougher task. But I'm hoping and I'm thinking that they're going to have Michael Penix.
I would hope so. Obviously, it was a huge loss this last Saturday with Coy Cronk going out with a season-ending ankle injury. That was the one thing you always fear as an Indiana football fan is with the depth of talent that they have. Usually, there's going to be some positions where they're pretty vulnerable to injury and how that can impact the overall efficiency of the team. And obviously, when you start talking linemen, it's Coy Cronk's probably as big of a loss as you could have on that team. The center's always going to be an issue, just with the timing with the quarterback. But that's the blind side. That's a fifth year. That's, I guess, fourth-year senior. He'd be eligible for a fifth if he decides to come back. Just tough loss. It was obviously a pretty painful injury. I think it was apparent to everybody that saw it. But, it'd be really interesting to see how Indiana adjusts to that. I know after the game, everybody talked about, we're going to play the rest of the season out for Coy. And there's always the possibility that you kind of get that rallying around the injured brother. Some talk about moving Caleb Jones over, just the monster of a man that he is, to left tackle and kind of platooning that right side spot where he'd be vacating. So, I guess the big question mark heading into Michigan State now is with a running game that has really struggled to establish itself thus far. Obviously, they got back on track a little bit closer to where you'd like to see them against UConn, but that Michigan State defense is no joke. I think they're coming in fifth ranked in the country right now as far as total team defense. It's going to be a big test for Indiana offensively. Fortunately, it's not the most potent offensive year for D'Antonio, but that defense is going to give them all sorts of fits. So hopefully you can see Penix back there under center. Hopefully you can continue to see them expanding the passing game. And big question mark now as far as how do they adapt to that restructuring of the offensive line, and how does that impact the running game? I'm going to be real curious to see, because against a team like against Michigan State, as well as many others that they've got to face now that we've reached the heart of the conference schedule, it's going to be imperative that they maybe not necessarily racking up a couple hundred yards a game on the running game, but they're going to have to figure out a way to get some consistent yardage, get those averages up, continue to manage the down and distance as they progress downfield. Because obviously as effective as the passing has been, and I think it's worth mentioning under both quarterbacks we've seen a lot of, Ramsey did a pretty good job, after he got the Ohio State game in his rearview mirror, bouncing back, making some good throws, keeping the offense moving. Going to have to continue that, but they're going to have to find some way to balance it out with a little bit more running, I think, if you're going to keep defenses like Michigan State honest, and keep your own defense off the field. Because even if they're not getting in the end zone on every drive offensively, they got to continue to maintain some time of possession and hopefully continue to capitalize when they can get the ball in the red zone.
Yeah, this is going to be a tough test for Tom Allen in the manner that he's going to probably have Michael Penix back But you have to also look at the fact that Michigan State, like you've talked about, their defense, they're one of the best in the country. They just shut the run down. That's not something Indiana's done well this year anyway, but you've got to be able to just protect the quarterback. And are they going to be able to protect him long enough for Michael Penix to get a long throw off? Or are you better off with a rat-a-tat-tat offense like with Peyton Ramsey, who is able to hit those quick passes? It's going to be a unique experience offensively for Indiana, I think.
No, one thing I think Kalen DeBoer's been really savvy with right now is kind of adjusting the offensive game plan to who he's had under center and what the strengths and weaknesses are, and as well as just how the flow of the game is going, how much time do they have in the pocket versus various opponents. So I think it could be, in the event that Penix is in fact back, it could be one where you maybe see some of those quicker release passes. It also could be one where you see a little bit more design runs because he's proven to be pretty effective when he tucks it, just to keep them off guard a little bit. And I think you'll continue to see a lot of unconventional passes, where they're effectively runs, short passes coming out of the backfield, maybe to guys in motion, just getting everything they can, basically using the wide receivers effectively as running backs with some of these short passes as well. But we'll see how he dials it up, because it's going to be as tough of a task as Ohio State was defensively. You're pretty much looking at a team that's every bit as much, if not even more so, on par with what the Buckeyes brought Indiana. And as we saw, they struggled against a defense of that caliber. So, and then you throw in the whole true road game element to it, and they got their work in store for them this week. But I think this is also, as we said last week, this is one of those where it's going to be a chance for them to hopefully make up for some of the failures in the Ohio State game and be a little more competitive in every element of the game throughout the game. With any luck, find themselves still in it, or at least give them a chance late in the game. And we'll see what can happen. But I think this is a great chance for this team to set the tone for how the rest of the Big Ten season is going to go. Because let's be honest, the non-conference wasn't, the toughest schedule. I think, various services had them in the hundreds to middle high hundreds, even as far as overall SOS. So this is where the rubber's going to hit the road now, and hopefully now that we've got a little bit of the season under their belt, we get a sense for what this team can really do here.
Yeah, and Indiana's kind of going to catch Michigan State off guard a little bit, because the fact of who's starting at quarterback is actually an unknown. And I mentioned that today to Tom Allen, and he said, yeah, it's kind of true. He goes, because I can stand here and tell you right now, I don't know who that's going to be. So Michigan State's got to prepare for two different types of quarterbacks. But hopefully, if it is a Michael Penix, the one thing he brings to the table, if nothing else, is the ability to throw that ball deep. And that is something that Michigan State has been very susceptible to in an otherwise very, very tight defense. But that is a hole that they have.
No, absolutely. And I think that's just going to make everything else that much easier when you can show that you're willing to threaten downfield. Michigan State's great at packing that box up front, bringing 8-9 guys into it even sometimes. So to just keep some space inside the middle of the field, not just for the running backs, but opening up some of those design runs, some of the RPOs, but also it opens up some of those shorter passes across the middle for some of your guys when you're looking at, second, third check down options even as well. So it's certainly something that the team could use. If nothing else, it just makes the Spartans defend a whole lot more field than what they probably would be if they knew it was just going to be Ramsey going against them.
Other news to talk about in basketball, Indiana, I saw that their top target is Dawson Garcia, the big man out of Minnesota. North Carolina, they sign a big guy, or they get a commitment from a big guy. And then, of course, Kansas, NCAA says, hello, boys, we got a little letter coming your way, which was kind of expected, but there was a lot more than that I thought would come out. Some pretty serious allegations against the Jayhawks. But all that being said, I think that puts Indiana in a lot better position all of a sudden to land Dawson Garcia's services.
No, absolutely. As far as the NCAA stuff, at this point in my college basketball fandom, I will believe that the NCAA's got some teeth when it comes to handling infractions from the big boys when I see it. If the Louisville scenario is any indicator, I wouldn't get my hopes up just yet, but you got to figure that it can't hurt the Hoosiers right now. Anytime your name's swirling around, anytime there's some speculation or a cloud hanging over a program, and particularly in this case a coach, it certainly makes other options perhaps a little more attractive by comparison. But this is going to be a big hysteria for Archie. Even though he's got most of the scholarships already doled out, I think it certainly allows both him as well as the fan base to kind of focus their love in, on specific players rather than a really big visiting class. More than anything, man, I'm just excited to get back into that gym again. I'm excited to see what the 2019-2020 Hoosiers look like in their most recent incarnation here. And, we're going to be practicing here, I believe, at the end of this week already. So it's crazy to think, it's the first day or second day now of autumn, but it's almost officially basketball season in Bloomington, and you really can't beat it. Can't beat getting into the gym, just even, if you're not going to get a full scrimmage or a whole lot, of information to glean, just to see the guys back out there, to see them running up and down the floor. You get a sense for what the off-season workout looks. It's always our first chance to get an up-close look and see how some of these guys have transformed their bodies. Always exciting to get your first look at the new guys as they come into the gym. Really excited to see what all of this new class has. Obviously, Joey Bronk's been a leader in the weight room throughout the season. I think Cliff Marshall gave him the belt for the most improved, or the MVP, or the weight room champ from the summer. See what the freshmen are looking like, how they mold in with some of these more experienced guys. Get a look for Devontae Green as the official team leader this year. It was just announced yesterday that Coach Miller has taken up Duran and Devontae to Big Ten Media Day. So it's a nod from the staff that these are a couple of leaders that they're going to be leaning on to really, bring this program up this season. So excited to get it underway, man.
Well, not only that, I'll tell you how close we are. Today is IU men's basketball media day here in Bloomington. So we'll be there and we'll have all that for you tomorrow. But yeah, that starts today. We talked to Coach Archie Miller tomorrow, but it's here and I cannot believe it. But then we've got Big Ten Media Day, which is next week, and then Hoosier Hysteria you're talking about coming up on the October 5th Saturday. So it's all right around the corner.
No, absolutely. And it's that exciting time. You still got baseball going on, at least in the major leagues right now. Fall sports, football in full swing, and now to bring in some basketball in the mix as well. It's pretty much a smorgasbord. So it's one of the better seasons in Bloomington. You throw the weather in outside as well, and you really, really cannot beat it here in town.
How do you think they're doing on recruiting right now? You got Dawson Garcia, which is one of the top targets. Like I said, we got the Kansas stuff that comes out, which I think puts Indiana in a pretty good position for him. I know they've been chasing a point guard for a couple of years. That's something that Archie's been wanting to get, but hadn't been able to land. And they may be in the best position yet with that Andre Curbelo kid.
Well, obviously, we've talked about some of the needs on this roster going forward. I think one thing to look at as well, though, is with the scholarship situation being the way it is, with Archie really gotten them balanced out across the classes. He's got one open, one up for next year. It kind of puts him in a position, though, that I think that right now you go out and you take the best available because you're balanced enough. You've got depth at pretty much every spot. Perhaps point guard being the only one, but we still haven't seen Armand Franklin, and how he may be utilized. I don't know that we're going to get a great sense as far as what his utilization for next season is going to look like until we get well into this current one upcoming. But I think Archie's in a great spot right now. I mean, we said this a week or two ago. While he's certainly got that one scholar to shop for, it's also allowing this staff to really, really lay it on thick with the coming classes beyond that. The 2021 class, the 21-22 class and beyond. So I think it's really optimum for the staff right now to be able to kind of spread those resources more long term, while continuing to shop for the best singular option going forward next year. And who knows, there has been some discussion they may over offer in either this coming class or the one following that, which will always be intriguing. I think if Archie can go out and if he can land a top rated big as well as a point guard in this class, I think he probably absolutely takes it. But we'll see where it's at. But I think on the flip side, though, you find yourself in a position where pretty much everything is mostly set, and everything at this point is just icing on the cake. I think Archie's got to feel good with where he's at, what he's already got signed, with Leal and Galloway and Geronimo. it's an envious position to be in, not having that many spots open. You end up scrambling where, you get down to these decisions with some of these kids, and you work and you work and you work, and then all of a sudden, something crazy comes up, and you find yourself on the outside looking in, and you're pretty late into the recruiting season, and there's just not a lot of time left to make up with some of these other guys. So to be able to avoid that type of situation and really focus on your priorities in the upcoming class and beyond, I think it's great. And, at the end of the day, one of his greatest assets in the recruiting tool bag is yet to be seen by a lot of these kids, and that's going to be Hoosier hysteria. The experience of getting them in the gym, feeling the love from the fans, looking up in the stands and seeing just what a special place Assembly Hall is, when it's packed up and people are pretty amped. It's an asset that not many programs in the country can match, and it's certainly something I expect the staff to employ to the fullest. Now, we probably won't see them get perp walk across the floor like we had in years past. I think that got indicated. That got marked up as a secondary violation. So there may be some change in the intro and the way these guys get rolled out on the floor. But that just highlights how important that experience is from a recruiting standpoint to really impress upon these kids just what a special basketball place Indiana University can be.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to the first time that Jordan Geronimo makes ESPN's top 10 at night, and you hear the call because you know what it's going to be. Geronimo! I mean,
oh, yeah.
You know that's coming.
At some point, Chuck Crabb's going to crack, and he's going to break his
he's going to break character.
His trademark, tempo that he speaks with, and he's going to have to let it loose at some point.
Yeah, this plain old Geronimo 2-pointer not going to work. He's going to have to cut her loose one time.
He watches enough soccer. I know he's seen the highlights. It'll come out.
Chronic, man, I can't thank you enough, brother. It's always a pleasure. I appreciate you so much. Look forward to doing it each and every week.
Pleasure being on, man. We'll catch you guys next week.
Have a great one. When you guys got another episode coming out?
We just texted about this today. We got one in the can. I'm waiting for it to drop. We just got done talking with Coach Aird last week. Hopefully I didn't screw that one up too bad, and they're going to release it. We got a fresh one coming out. I think we're going to record Wednesday this week, so look for it tomorrow or Thursday at the latest. Sometimes the publication, once we do these, acts all corporate. Indy Star being the behemoth that it is, once we cut the file, we just send it up there and it's out of our hands at this point. So we'll at least have one in the can Wednesday afternoon or Wednesday morning, so look for it sometime thereafter.
You're talking about Zach Osterman along with Chronic Hoosier and Mind Your Banners. Make sure you catch it right there. Chronic, thank you, brother. I appreciate you.
Thanks for having me, man. We'll see you.
You bet. Hey, we're back with more Indiana Sports Beat Radio from the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios right after this. Hello, everybody. Jim Coyle from Indiana Sports Beat. When I'm not covering the Hoosiers, you can find me at Bubba's 33 in Clarksville, located on the northeast corner of I-65 at Veterans Parkway. Bubba's 33 has hand-tossed pizzas, bold burgers, and ice-cold beer from a select list of local craft brewers. An incredible food selection, all made fresh daily. Whether you're meeting the team for that post-win meal in the family dining area or meeting friends for happy hour to watch the game on one of Bubba's 50 TVs. Bubba's 33 in Clarksville. Pizza, burgers, beer.
We all want a winning smile for those championship photos, and that's exactly what you will get at Reynolds Family Dentistry in Sellersburg. Reynolds Family Dentistry has been serving the dental needs of Hoosier families for over 30 years. Let Doctors Roger and Jay Reynolds take care of your family. Just off of I-65 at 809 South Indiana Avenue in Sellersburg. Call 812-246-3368. That's Reynolds Family Dentistry, 812-246-3368.
Now that warm weather has arrived, it's time to hit the links, and there's no better place than the Golf Club at Eagle Point in Bloomington. Voted best golf course by the readers of the Bloomington Herald-Times, the Golf Club at Eagle Point is under new ownership, has new fairways and bunkers, and it's open to the public. When the round's over, there's cold beer and a full menu at the Eagle Point Pub and Bistro. Call 812-824-1100 to make a tee time. That's 812-824-1100. The Golf Club at Eagle Point in Bloomington.
This is AJ Moye.
This is Dan Dockett.
Hey, this is Michael Lord, former Indiana basketball player.
This is Indiana football coach Tom Allen.
This is Jim Coyle with the Indiana Sports Beat. You can always like and follow us on Facebook. Always follow the show rebroadcast on iTunes, Google Play, iHeartRadio, Spotify. TheDailyHoosier.com is a great place to sign up for each and every day. Or, of course, on 97.7 The Ref in Evansville. For the best recycling and waste removal service, turn to the area's leader, Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling, a homegrown company serving southern Indiana since 1995. Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling serves Floyd, Clark, Harrison, and Washington counties. For excellent service and peace of mind, call Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling today at 812-944-5642. That's 812-944-5642. Keep life sweet with Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling.
I'm Rain Shaddy, and I'm a Hoosier. As a toddler, you could always find me running around in a cream and crimson onesie and a red IU hat reminiscent of those worn during the world-famous William Tell timeout, shouting, "Go Hoosiers!" Like many other alum, I chose to make Bloomington my home. As a civic and alumni leader, I have become very knowledgeable about our community and would love to share my insights with you as your realtor. Find me on Facebook or call or text me, Ryan Shaddy, with FC Tucker Bloomington Realtors at 765-623-9093.
This is James Blackman Jr., former Indiana Hoosier. Make sure you're keeping up with the Hoosiers on Indiana Sports Beat.
Welcome back to Indiana Sports Beat Radio. Of course, coming to you from the Gulf Company Eagle Point Studios here on this Hump Day, Wednesday, September 25. Matt Weaver's on the show today. Talk a little IU football. As they head up north, The Great White North of East Lansing, Michigan, take on Sparty. Michigan State coming off of a big win over Northwestern. Indiana, a nice win over UConn. Will Michael Penix return? I certainly hope so. For Indiana to have a chance in that game, they've got to have Michael Penix. You got to have the ability to throw that ball downfield to stretch the defense, because Michigan State pretty daggone good defensively, especially up close. With the troubles that Indiana has had running the ball, those are going to be exacerbated against this defense. But if you get a Peyton or a Michael Penix in there and he can throw that thing downfield, loosen it up, hit Donovan Hale, hit Nick Westbrook, hit Ty Freifogel, that's going to loosen that defense up. They've got to, as long as they can protect the quarterback, got to protect the quarterback. Today, we're back out at Assembly Hall. We'll be talking with Archie Miller today. I'll have that for you tomorrow. We met with virtually all of the players yesterday, even some new ones. Did you know that? Jaquez Henderson. He's from Winter Park, Florida. He's been to Butler. He's been to Louisville. Now he's in Indiana. What a better Bermuda Triangle of places he's played. He's a walk-on. You got Cooper Bybee. Henderson's a 6-foot guard. You got Cooper Bybee, he's a 6'1" guard. And you got Nathan Childers from Zionsville. They list him at 6'6". That means he's 6'5". First day of practice coming up September 28th. That's in 3 days. A lot going on coming up, man. Next week, we're up in Chicago for Big Ten Media Days. October 2nd. Then 3 days later, back at it at the Simon Scott Assembly Hall. Hoosier hysteria breaking loose. Archie wasn't there yesterday. They were out on recruiting. Mike Roberts was out on recruiting. He won't be there today either. Archie will be there today. But yesterday, we had the opportunity to talk to the players. Al Durham is probably going to be filling in at point guard some this year. to relieve Rob Finney because they don't have another point guard because Archie can't land one. Let's be honest about it. Been trying for 2 years. So Al Durham will probably be sliding over to that. We talked a little bit about that yesterday in that role for him.
Now, you even talked about as possibly, sharing some point guard responsibilities with Rob. I mean, is that something you feel comfortable doing, and what kind of style do you think you can bring to that position?
Yeah, we've been practicing it. I mean, we talked about it. I've been repping it out at the point guard spot, so I feel like I can come in and contribute any way I can at the point guard spot. I'll do it.
That was Al Durham talking about playing a little bit of point guard for the Hoosiers this year. Text into the show from Tim. Oh, we're going. Last year, Northwestern came into Spartan Stadium for homecoming. Michigan State was also 3-1 and got upset. Can we repeat that this year? It is homecoming for Michigan State. That would be nothing sweeter than to wreck homecoming for Mark D'Antonio. I'm not a fan of his, if you haven't noticed. But back to the basketball side of things. You've got a couple of new faces. One of those, Armand Franklin. It's difficult as a freshman to break in to the IU basketball program. You got to be special or have a team that is in dire need. And I asked Armand about that, about having to break in as you're going from high school to the big, not just college, but to the big leagues of college. See what Armand had to say.
Armand, being a freshman is obviously hard to come in and break through, but to be able, how do you think that you're going to be able to contribute on this team, and how hard has it been for you to break into that upper level?
It hasn't been that hard since we have like a good group of upperclassmen that helped me come in and tell me what I need to do. So I just have to do whatever I need to do to contribute to the team. Whatever they want me to do, I'll do it.
There was Armand Franklin, one of the newcomers. We've heard a lot about Demezy Anderson. I don't know that is. We heard that he was the most quote unquote improved. Now that was rumors floating around back at the end of the summer. I'm not buying it. Not to say that he hasn't improved, but that he has just become this alter ego player. But we'll see. Hopefully he has a better season this year. Last year he seemed like he had trouble getting things to click defensively. That's was why he didn't see the court very much, to be honest with you. He was too much of a liability on that side. Hopefully another season he's got those things worked out. But we also talked to Demezy Anderson yesterday.
Demezy, you kind of played some last year kind of in fits and starts. I know coaches talked a lot this offseason about the work you've tried to put in. Where do you feel like you've gotten better? Where do you feel like you want to carve out kind of a role this season?
Just continue to get better and just be prepared and have the confidence to be able to play when my name is called. So this year I just want to go out there and play with confidence this year and help the team out.
That's Demezy Anderson, 6'7" kid out of South Bend, Indiana. It's going to be very interesting to see who's able to contribute that hasn't done so before. Demezy Anderson would be one of those. He spent a year last year trying to better learn the system, I guess, the quote-unquote Archie system. Wasn't able to really get a rhythm going. Hopefully he can get that worked out this season. They can sure use him. Jerome Hunter, talk about using him. He's been released and cleared to play, or to do anything. He's cleared to practice, to play. All drills. It's going to be very interesting to see how long it takes him to get up to speed, because he really couldn't do anything last year. I'm sure he could practice shooting and things like that, but he's had a year away from the game, basically. It really knocks you out of your rhythm. You got a lot of rust to get through. It's like Race Thompson. We'll talk about that in a minute. But Jerome Hunter is one that, he was the second highest recruit on the team last year. A lot of anticipation to him playing last season. Unfortunately, he could not. Now he can. How fast will he be able to get up to speed? I mean, he's been doing the workouts with Cliff Marshall and all that. But where is he as far as basketball shape? We'll see in the first game or so how much action he actually gets to play. It'd be very interesting. But we also heard from Jerome yesterday.
What has the last year been like? How tough has it been? And just what do you feel like maybe you've learned about that? Whether obviously it's not something you wanted to go through, but what do you feel like you've learned about kind of the process you've had to go through?
I never had to sit out the year before the basketball, so last year really hurt. But as you keep getting through it, you start thinking of other things and how you can get better off the court. And so that's all I focused on, just how next year I can be the best player I can be.
There's Jerome Hunter talking about what it's been like being away from the game and how difficult it was for him. He said it was very hard. Deron Davis is somebody that the Hoosiers expect to be a leader this year. They have to get a lot out of him down there and down low. But he's also going to be – they need a vocal leader. And I'm so tired of hearing this lead by example stuff. There's no such thing as leading by example. All that is just somebody doing their job. That's just somebody doing what they're supposed to do. Leading by example. No, they need a leader. So hopefully, and I think that he will, Deron Davis is going to be one of those guys that steps up. You can tell he's got it in him. He's got it in him. I think this team is fortunate that it has a few more veterans than, say, last year. I mean, you got Deron Davis, you got Devontae. Joey Brunk is almost a veteran. I mean, he's just a junior on paper with 2 more years left, but he's a veteran. Al Durham has been around for a while. You got guys that have been, even Rob Finney. Once you get that freshman season under your belt, when you start every game, you're no longer a rookie, man. You got it going on. And I think Rob Finney is going to be somebody that is also a leader. But Deron Davis is someone I expect big things out of. He talked about being a leader. Let's hear what he had to say.
Deron, going through the season that you guys went through last year, what can you kind of impart on the younger guys in terms of, dealing with adversity that you think will help, maybe the team collectively this year?
Just tell them that, it's going to be a long season. We're going to have our ups, we're going to have our downs. As long as we stay focused on the goal and stay focused on each other, we'll be all right.
There was Deron talking about being a leader. He is one of those guys. He is one of those leaders. It's the last season he's going to get to play. He's a senior, man. That's got to be golly, I just remember it seemed like yesterday he was a freshman. Come in from Colorado. Who comes in from Colorado? Deron Davis does. The big man. We got a lot coming up on the program today. Matt Weaver from Peaks.com is going to join us. We got plenty more from IU Basketball Media Day. We're going to hear from lots of the players. Joey Brunk, Race Thompson, plenty more. Trace Jackson Davis. Lots to get to. Stay tuned. We're back from the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios at Indiana Sports Beat Radio right after this.
Hello, everybody. Jim Coyle from Indiana Sports Beat. When I'm not covering the Hoosiers, you can find me at Bubba's 33 in Clarksville, located on the northeast corner of I-65 at Veterans Parkway. Bubba's 33 has hand-tossed pizzas, bold burgers, and ice-cold beer from a select list of local craft brewers. An incredible food selection, all made fresh daily. Whether you're meeting the team for that post-win meal in the family dining area or meeting friends for happy hour to watch the game on one of Bubba's 50 TVs. Bubba's 33 in Clarksville. Pizza, burgers, beer.
We all want a winning smile for those championship photos, and that's exactly what you will get at Reynolds Family Dentistry in Sellersburg. Reynolds Family Dentistry has been serving the dental needs of Hoosier families for over 30 years. Let Doctors Roger and Jay Reynolds take care of your family. Just off of I-65 at 809 South Indiana Avenue in Sellersburg. Call 812-246-3368. That's Reynolds Family Dentistry, 812-246-3368.
Now that warm weather has arrived, it's time to hit the links, and there's no better place than the golf club at Eagle Point in Bloomington. Voted best golf course by the readers of the Bloomington Herald-Times, the golf club at Eagle Point is under new ownership, has new fairways and bunkers, and it's open to the public. When the round's over, there's cold beer and a full menu at the Eagle Point Pub and Bistro. Call 812-824-1100 to make a tee time. That's 812-824-1100. The golf club at Eagle Point in Bloomington.
This is AJ Moye.
This is Dan Dockett.
Hey, this is Michael Lord, former Indiana basketball player.
This is Indiana football coach Tom Allen.
This is Jim Coyle with the Indiana Sports Beat. You can always like and follow us on Facebook. Always follow the show rebroadcast on iTunes, Google Play, iHeart Radio, Spotify. TheDailyHoosier.com is a great place to sign up for each and every day. Or, of course, on 97.7 The Ref in Evansville. For the best recycling and waste removal service, turn to the area's leader, Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling, a homegrown company serving southern Indiana since 1995. Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling serves Floyd, Clark, Harrison, and Washington counties. For excellent service and peace of mind, call Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling today at 812-944-5642. That's 812-944-5642. Keep life sweet with Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling.
I'm Rain Shaddy, and I'm a Hoosier. As a toddler, you could always find me running around in a cream and crimson onesie and a red IU hat reminiscent of those worn during the world-famous William Tell timeout, shouting, "Go Hoosiers!" Like many other alum, I chose to make Bloomington my home. As a civic and alumni leader, I have become very knowledgeable about our community and would love to share my insights with you as your realtor. Find me on Facebook or call or text me, Ryan Shaddy, with FC Tucker Bloomington Realtors at 765-623-9093.
Hey, this is Jordan Halls, former Indiana Hoosier. Keep up with Indiana sports on Indiana Sports Beat.
This hour is brought to you by Sweetland Waste and Removal Service, a homegrown company serving southern Indiana since 1995.
Well, we're coming to your city. Gonna play our guitars and sing you a country song. We'll all be flying higher than a jetliner. And if you want a little bang in your yin yang, come along.
Well, come on along and welcome aboard to Indiana Sports Beat Radio. Thanks a lot for joining us here on this Wednesday, September 25. Matt Weaver on the program today from Peaks.com. We'll talk a little IU football as the Hoosiers travel north to take on Sparty this Saturday in a 3:30 contest. We'll also hear from lots of IU basketball players, as yesterday was IU Media Day. We spoke with all of the players, which didn't take long. They're short-spoken, soft-spoken guys, but we got a lot to get to with that. A little bit of soccer news last night. Indiana was on the road at Butler at the Butler Bowl, and things didn't go as planned as Indiana, number 5, gets knocked off by Butler 2-1. Tough place to play up there. Aaron Schifron gave us the report that Indiana was pretty dominant in that game, but they just couldn't score. But that's been par for the course for them so far this season. I've seen that happen a lot.
as all of their first 5 games go overtime. From Aaron, it was a rough game for IU. They dominated everything but the score, but fell victim to Butler's long shots twice on counters. Butler plays a style of throwing balls over the top and much more offensive-minded than most teams IU plays. Herbert Indulay drew another penalty kick because of his speed. I'm telling you, his speed is something special. Early on, but Becerra missed the PK this time, and Butler used another long ball and a bad Jordan Klein clearance for a 1-0 lead. Butler used another long ball yet again in the second half for a goal and almost made it 3-0 on yet a third that hit the post. The combo of fast turf and fast strikes make Butler deadly at home. IU got a late goal from Mayer off a corner but couldn't equalize to take their first loss of the year. They're now 4-1-2, I believe. As that's sure that number 5 ranking will take a hit as well. They're back in action this Friday night at Bill Armstrong Stadium, 7:30. Contest scheduled with Sacramento. So if you're in the area, hit it up. Plenty to get to. You know, you got some new faces on this IU basketball team. Walk-ons. Jacquez Henderson's from Winter Park, Florida. He's a 6-foot guard. He's had stops at Butler and Louisville. He gives Indiana 2 former Butler players. Cooper Bybee is a 6-foot guard. 6'1" guard, rather, I should say, on the squad. And Nathan Childers from Zionsville, 6'5". Your 3 walk-ons. They're still -1, I believe. And you still got an open scholarship. So they're down some bodies. They don't have the bodies. Hopefully they can get that roster filled out. Hopefully they won't need it like they did last year with the rash of injuries that really decimated that program last year. You know, Joey Brunk is one that came in. He's kind of in a unique situation. He's a transfer, but yet he's going to be someone that they lean on pretty quickly. He's also going to be somebody that has to be a leader. He's an older guy. He's a junior. He's an upperclassman now. Fortunately, as a transfer, he's going to have 2 years, which is unusual. But he was one that we got to speak with yesterday. Joey Brunk. Let's hear what Joey had to say.
Joey, Archie's talked about you as somebody that's come in and been a really strong voice in the locker room and a leader. Is that something that he talked to you about before you came on board, kind of during the recruiting process, and is that just kind of part of who you are?
It was something that we had talked about when I was getting recruited, but I do think that's kind of a little bit of my personality. I'm comfortable with who I am, and I don't have any problem talking and speaking up on anything.
That was Joey Brunk. And he talked quite a bit, actually. He had a lot of questions posed his way yesterday. Here's some more from Joey. You can just let him run.
Joey, what's the difference in the work here and the work that you did prior to this?
It's been a great transition here. We've been working hard since we've been here. During my time at Butler, I had a great 3 years. But kind of that chapter of my life is over, and it's kind of a new chapter here at Indiana for the next 2 years. And we've been getting after it as a group, and we're excited.
That's Joey Brunk again, talking yesterday at IU's Media Day. A nice little tidbit of information. Jacquez Henderson, Indiana's newest walk-on. It's funny when you have to have a release tell you who somebody is in the team photo, and that's exactly what it was yesterday. We're like, who's this guy? I literally had a media person say, who is that? And I'm like, I didn't know. we had to find out. But anyway, he is apparently his father is the manager for Victor Oladipo. He had a brother that played in the Pacers Summer League. So a lot of connections there in the basketball. But that's how you get places, man. You got to know people, right? You got to know people. But the big news for Indiana is Jerome Hunter participating in all basketball activities. They gave us a release yesterday that read exactly, redshirt freshman forward Jerome Hunter is participating in all basketball-related activities and continues to progress this fall after undergoing season-ending leg surgery last year. I believe he had 2 procedures. His return to basketball continues to be monitored by IU men's basketball sports media medicine staff and will be managed accordingly. What that exactly means is, I don't know. I don't know that he's released and allowed to go full bore, but it may take a minute for him to get up to speed. I'm not sure where he is, although he's been participating in workouts and things like that. It's still, when you're not playing the sport, you're not in that sport shape. The beating, the banging, the muscles have to get used to it. It's like football. When you first start football, you're sore as hell from getting hit, but then those muscles get used to that, and a lot of that soreness goes away. He's going to have to get his body into game shape. And you can only do that by beating and banging. So it'll be interesting to see how he's able to come along. Hopefully for his sake. I hate to see that for any kid. Race Thompson, somebody else that knows what it's like to go through setbacks, injuries. He sat out most of the season last year because of a crazy concussion that just wiped his season out almost. He was able to get back toward the end of the season, but can he be a contributor on this offensive side of the team? Because that's what they're going to need. They're going to need production. They lost a lot of points in Romeo Langford and Juwan Morgan. They need guys that's going to be able to put the ball in the basket. Let's see what Race had to say.
Race, you had that good defensive game against Ethan Happ last year, and then Coach said that there's still room for you to kind of improve on the offensive end. I mean, do you think you've kind of improved a lot, and what have you improved most on that side of the floor?
Yeah, I definitely improved on offense, shooting the ball, just being stronger everywhere I'm at. Basically just improving the all-around game, but shooting was a point that Coach talked about a lot. So,
Race Thompson, another guy that missed a substantial portion of the season last year because of an injury. Hopefully they don't have that spat of injuries this season. Can stay healthy. They need it because they're short guys. They're short a scholarship player. They're short a walk-on. I mean, they don't have the bodies. I think they have 14 players total on this team with the walk-ons. Which normally it's like 17. Which that's where practice is where that catches up to you. I don't know how deep of a rotation Archie's going to go through this year. I think that's the players is going to determine that. I mean, we've heard so much about Demezy Anderson and his improvement. Well, we'll see if that's actually the case. Because they could certainly use someone that could shoot like Demezy can. Armand Franklin, Trace Jackson Davis. We haven't heard. We'll hear from Trace Jackson later on in the hour. What kind of an impact can Trace Jackson make as a freshman? I think that he's somebody that they're going to need some output from. I think that Armand Franklin is fortunate that he can come along a little bit slower and learn behind Devontae and Al Durham and Rob Fennessy. Devontae expected to be one of the leaders in scoring this year. He's got to pick up the load. He was one of their best shooters, their best three-point shooter last season. The only one that shot over 40%. As a team, Indiana was paltry. That's got to improve. Hopefully it will. You know, they do a lot of weight training. Sometimes you have to wonder, are they doing too much? Is it altering the shots? Because I've never seen Indiana teams shoot so poorly as they have in the last few years. It's been mind-boggling. A program that prides itself on being of shooters for decades, all of a sudden can't shoot. I mean, down to free throws even. Just makes you go, Things that make you go, Hey, we got a lot coming up on the program. Matt Weaver from Peaks.com is going to join us next. We got to talk a little football to talk about. Indiana taking on Sparty this weekend up in East Lansing. We're back with that and more right here on Indiana Sports Beat Radio from the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios right after this.
Standing in the sunlight laughing, hiding behind a rainbow's wall, slipping and sliding all along the waterfall with you.
Hello, everybody. Jim Coyle from Indiana Sports Beat. When I'm not covering the Hoosiers, you can find me at Bubba's 33 in Clarksville, located on the northeast corner of I-65 at Veterans Parkway. Bubba's 33 has hand-tossed pizzas, bold burgers, and ice-cold beer from a select list of local craft brewers. An incredible food selection, all made fresh daily. Whether you're meeting the team for that post-win meal in the family dining area or meeting friends for happy hour to watch the game on one of Bubba's 50 TVs. Bubba's 33 in Clarksville. Pizza, burgers, beer.
We all want a winning smile for those championship photos, and that's exactly what you will get at Reynolds Family Dentistry in Sellersburg. Reynolds Family Dentistry has been serving the dental needs of Hoosier families for over 30 years. Let Doctors Roger and Jay Reynolds take care of your family. Just off of I-65 at 809 South Indiana Avenue in Sellersburg. Call 812-246-3368. That's Reynolds Family Dentistry, 812-246-3368.
Now that warm weather has arrived, it's time to hit the links, and there's no better place than the golf club at Eagle Point in Bloomington. Voted best golf course by the readers of the Bloomington Herald-Times, the golf club at Eagle Point is under new ownership, has new fairways and bunkers, and it's open to the public. When the round's over, there's cold beer and a full menu at the Eagle Point Pub and Bistro. Call 812-824-1100 to make a tee time. That's 812-824-1100. The golf club at Eagle Point in Bloomington.
This is AJ Moye.
This is Dan Dockett.
Hey, this is Michael Lewis, former Indiana basketball player.
This is Indiana football coach Tom Allen.
This is Jim Coyle with the Indiana Sports Beat. You can always like and follow us on Facebook. Always follow the show rebroadcast on iTunes, Google Play, iHeartRadio, Spotify. TheDailyHoosier.com is a great place to sign up for each and every day. Or, of course, on 97.7 The Ref in Evansville. For the best recycling and waste removal service, turn to the area's leader, Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling, a homegrown company serving southern Indiana since 1995. Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling serves Floyd, Clark, Harrison, and Washington counties. For excellent service and peace of mind, call Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling today at 812-944-5642. That's 812-944-5642. Keep life sweet with Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling.
I'm Rain Shaddy, and I'm a Hoosier. As a toddler, you could always find me running around in a cream and crimson onesie and a red IU hat reminiscent of those worn during the world-famous William Tell timeout, shouting, "Go Hoosiers!" Like many other alum, I chose to make Bloomington my home. As a civic and alumni leader, I have become very knowledgeable about our community and would love to share my insights with you as your realtor. Find me on Facebook or call or text me, Ryan Shaddy, with FC Tucker Bloomington Realtors at 765-623-9093.
You're on the line with Jamal Meeks, former Indiana Hoosier. number 23, 1992. And I'm on the beat with Jim Cole.
Today's guest is brought to you by Reynolds Family Dentistry of Sellersburg. You need $1 million smile for those championship photos, and that's exactly what you'll get with Reynolds Family Dentistry.
I believe you can get me through the night.
I also think Peyton, his dad would have said Peyton Manning. Peyton Ramsey has done a great job. He's a gamer. He knows where to go with the ball. He gives you scramble ability. He understands the defenses he's reading.
There's Mark D'Antonio talking about Peyton Manning, Peyton Ramsey, whomever. Indiana's going to be running out there quarterback this weekend. Joined now by our good friend Matt Weaver from Pigs.com. Matthew, how are you, brother?
I'm doing okay. How are you guys?
Good, good. Do you think that D'Antonio is buying not knowing who the quarterback is going to be on Saturday?
Yeah, probably not. But that's Coach speak for you. I mean, he probably knows that IU has a decent idea, and I think IU has a decent idea who's going to be the quarterback. But you're not gonna call out another coaching staff. So.
Oh, no. I mean, they're actually being polite and running the clips of Peyton Ramsey out there, which that's what he's got to go with because that's what they ran out there last time. But we're all hopeful that Michael Penix will return. I think that he will. I think that he has to for Indiana to have any chance in this game because Michigan State, obviously known for having a very good defensive team this year, means Indiana to have a chance. To me, they've got to have a way of stretching this field against that team.
Yeah, and it's not just. I mean, vertically obviously is a big part of it, but it's just also being able to kind of stretch it horizontally a little bit down the field too, where you're on one hash. You can run plays to the far sideline at 15 to 20 yards. With Peyton Ramsey, it's just tough to do because it's just the arm strength is lacking. Whereas with Michael Penix, it's a throw that he can make with relative ease. So. And then just the throws, throwing guys open, throwing guys to where they can get yards after the catch. Ramsey was percentage-wise was really good against UConn, but you still saw some throws that were behind guys. They had to kind of slow down a few times. And they played a good game, don't get me wrong, but that's a big difference when you're playing at Michigan State, getting that guy where he can catch the ball, get up the field for another 5 or 10 yards, or he has to stop it, he gets tackled where he is. That's a big difference. That can make a big difference in a game. Those 10 yards, that's one first down right there that you don't have to get. So it'll be interesting. I'm with you. I'm leaning towards. I think Penix plays. Coach Allen saying that they expect him to practice was kind of a sign to me that it's looking good. But we'll have to see. Hopefully, there's no setbacks and he's ready to go on Saturday.
Yeah, Indiana definitely is going to be without Coy Cronk, who is one of their anchors or co-captain, one of the linchpins on that offensive line, which is not exactly the deepest in the conference on top of that. So they're going to have to get some special play out of the offensive line Saturday.
Yeah, I mean, that was going to obviously be the case whether Coy played or not. I mean, this is the front seven from Michigan State's really, really good. I mean, they're loaded with really good players. They got Joe Bachie, the linebacker, is really just terrific player, and just guys all across the board. And it's a well coached defense. I know the defensive line coach up there, Ron Burton, and he's a heck of a coach. He does a great job, and so. They're gonna have to play pretty well. You don't have to go out there and pop off 5 yards a carry. You don't have to run for 220, 240 yards, but you got to at least be productive enough that you keep them honest. I mean, if you're getting stopped at the line of scrimmage every time or in the backfield or you're basically getting nothing, you got to be at least a little bit productive, whoever the quarterback is, to at least keep Michigan State honest. And obviously, if Penix is out there, it probably changes how they kind of line up and how they do things defensively. But they're still going to do what they do. I mean, they're probably going to play a lot of man coverage. They're probably going to press our receivers and try to walk guys up in the box, whether it's Penix or Ramsey, and make the quarterback beat them and see if their guy's better than the Indiana's guy. And that's how they do things. That's how they play. And I would expect it to be any different on Saturday.
Yeah, the only even with Michael Penix in there, he has only played a handful of games, so he does not have a ton of experience. He's still a freshman quarterback, so he's going to be under a lot of pressure. Whether not necessarily pressure in the backfield, but the one-on-one coverage, being able to pick those things up quickly. That's a lot of pressure for a freshman.
Yeah, and then obviously then you take it, you're on the road for the first time ever. Obviously they played at Lucas Oil, but that was, obviously a pretty sterile environment, pretty neutral environment. This will be a lot different. Spartan Stadium can be a loud place when the fans really get into it, and we'll see what kind of crowd they have on Saturday. But I've been to a lot of games up there. I used to live up there when I was younger, and it's a great college football stadium and a good place to watch a game. And they got good fans. But then like you said, you factor in the opponent and their how good they are defensively, and the defensive minds they have on that staff with Antonio and his D coaches. It's going to be a real test for Penix if he plays, and he's just going to have to stay within himself. Don't try to do anything you can't do. Don't force it. Sometimes it's okay to punt the ball. And take what they give you, and then when your opportunities come up, they make them happen. I mean, you will have opportunities to make plays against Michigan State. The last few years, Indiana's had opportunities to do it, and when they happen, you just got to take advantage of them. But take your medicine when you have to, and don't do anything silly to give them some garbage points.
And another big key item for Indiana is going to be Indiana's defense. While they played better in their last game, this is going to be their sternest test, not Ohio State withstanding, of course. But Lewerke and company, they got a little bit better in between watching them lose to Arizona State and then beating Northwestern. That offense picked up the pace a little bit.
Yeah, with me, I mean, and this is the case with a lot of teams, but really in Michigan State, it starts with the run. I mean, they run the ball to set up their passing game. They're a little bit old school in how they do things and the play action and that kind of stuff. And so to me, it's going to start with that. I mean, if you can kind of stuff them up front and get them into some down and distances that they're not comfortable with, second and long, third and long, you give yourself a real chance, and you give yourself a chance to maybe get some takeaways, get some big plays. But you gotta be good on the early downs against the running game, and however that's got to be. But you got to be stout in that area, and if you can do that, then defensively you should give yourself a shot. And I don't know what the score will be. I don't know if you have to hold them to, but if you can hold Michigan State to a certain score, they're offensively you're gonna have a chance, and they're not real explosive. I mean, I know they've had some, they've gotten a little bit better, but this is not a real explosive team. I mean. Big plays are they're more of a grinding out team. They do have some playmakers, but it's going to come down to, like I said, being stout against the run and trying to get them into those downs and distances that makes their work a little uncomfortable.
Playing on the road is difficult. Playing on the road in the Big Ten is even more difficult. But Indiana they've done okay playing on the road against these teams. I mean, last time they were in East Lansing, they gave themselves a shot to win that game, and I think that they can do the same here if they just take care of business.
Yeah, and that was a game. That was a game they really probably should have won. I mean, I can't remember. It was like a 9-7 game or 9 something. IU had the ball in the red zone, I think 3 times. One time, I think inside the 5, and only got field goals. So that really hurt. If you get a touchdown on just one of those, and that outcome's probably different, but it is what it is. You got to go do it. And so, they shouldn't be, I don't think they should be intimidated. I think as disappointing and as bad as the Ohio State game was a couple of weeks ago, now you kind of got an idea of what you're going to be facing. This isn't going to be new. At least from a defensive point of view. I mean, obviously Michigan State's not Ohio State offensively, but from a defensive point of view, going against their defense, you've seen something that's about as good, as talented, as athletic, So, and then Michigan State's they've had some injuries on the O-line. That's where I think, like I said, it goes back to stopping the run and making some things happen. Lewerke can run a little bit, but their O-line has struggled some this year. They've had some of their guys are down, and so hopefully that's where Indiana can take advantage and make some plays and really getting off to a fast start, getting a lead in this game. You don't want to fall behind like they did last year against Michigan State. It's real hard to come back against them. Try to get them down and then kind of dictate the tempo of the game, how you want it to play.
Yeah, I alluded to it earlier, but the loss of Coy Crunk, that's a big one for Indiana from a leadership standpoint.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, this is a guy who's. I mean, listen. I think Saturday was his 40th. I want to say it was his 40th career start. He's basically played. There's only one game he's not played in. I think it was last year. Every game in Indiana in the last 3+ seasons, Coy Crunk has been the starter at left tackle, except for one. I mean, it's just amazing longevity. Amazing, especially for that position where obviously injuries occur on the O line and. For him to, it's a shame. The silver lining is, and we'll see what happens, but at least the silver lining is he is within the window to get the red shirt if he so chooses. And, it'd be great if you could, getting him back next year would be a huge boost for the O-line since they have to replace a few guys. But yeah, it's tough. And, if you move Caleb Jones over to left tackle, obviously he's not done that hardly at all in the game. He played a little bit last year in the Minnesota game, but not very much. And then if you do that, you're putting a guy in at right tackle, whether it be Devondre Love or Aiden Rafferty, that has basically played very, very little in their career. So, or if you play Matthew Bedford at left tackle, you're playing a true freshman against Kenny Willekes and some of those guys up there. So, I would think you're probably gonna have to use the tight end a lot, to help block out. Keep Bjorson in there. Maybe not go as many 3 wide receiver sets or whatever. Maybe play more 2 tight ends and try to help out your tackles as much as you can, and if it's Penix, maybe you try to help out the right side a little bit more because it's his blind side. But they're gonna. This is football. Guys get hurt, and you got to come together, and somebody's got to step up. And Michigan State or anybody else on the schedule is not going to be crying for you because you lost Coy Crunk.
Yeah, you talk about using the tight end. Peyton Hendershot leads the team in receptions with, I think, 18 on the season. He has certainly gotten a lot of targets, but he's going to continue to get that. Is there an advantage? Do you think Indiana has any advantage with Michigan State not knowing who the quarterback is going to be, having to prepare for both? Because they're definitely kind of different quarterbacks.
Yeah, I mean, I know the coaches will say they're similar, and what they do is similar. Now the Ohio State game was a tough one to judge, but the offense in the Ohio State game didn't look like the offense to me in the other games when Michael Penix was out there. It quite honestly looked a lot like last year's offense. It was a lot of go routes down the sideline, and then kind of those, I don't want to check down or shorter passes in the flats and over the middle. So, whereas with Michael Penix, you saw they use more what I call the intermediate throws, those 20 to 25 yard throws across the middle. Those are the ones where Ramsey struggles to throw them because you got to have zip on the ball because the windows are small, especially against a Michigan State or Ohio State or whoever it is in the Big Ten. So I think there's probably a little bit of an advantage. Michigan State's so good defensively. My guess is, they probably really don't care. I'm sure they'll probably tweak some things if Penix is the guy that comes out there. But like I said, I think they're going to play the way they play. I think they're going to press the IU receivers. I think they're going to probably play a single high safety, and they're going to walk 7 or 8 guys into the box and not allow IU to run the ball and try to get after the quarterback. Especially, IU's O-line has had its ups and downs, so they're probably thinking, you know what, even if a guy gets open, we're going to get to the quarterback before the quarterback can deliver the ball. So, I don't think it's going to change a whole lot what they do, but it might give IU a little bit of an advantage. But, bottom line is you got to go out and play and execute and make plays. And if you do that, you'll have a chance. If you don't, then, you're going to come home with a butt kicking.
If Stevie Scott has over 50 yards rushing, it should mean that it's a good day for Indiana. If they hold him to under 50 yards, then I think Indiana's got some real troubles.
Yeah, and I guess it would also kind of depend on. If if he's got to get 25 carries to get to those 50 yards, that might be it. But if he's carrying the ball, even if he's getting 3.5 yards a carry, that's not terrible. 3.5 yards, you run the ball 3.5 yards 3 times, you're gonna get a first down. it seems simplistic, but it's so even if you're doing that, like I said, you just can't be. It can't be like 22 carries for 48 yards or something like that. That's not going to work. You need to try to get over 3.5. If you get to 4, that'd be great. That's going to be really tough against this defense. But maybe you try some things. Maybe you try some things to take advantage of their aggressiveness. Maybe some reverses or some jet sweeps or something like that. Trying to stretch them horizontally as well as vertically. But bottom line is you're still going to have to be able to run the ball a little bit between the tackles and grind it up in there and be productive with that. But, if he can get, to me, I look more, how can he do per carry? Are they able to get a few runs where they're maybe kind of chunk runs, 6-7 yards? If you're able to do that, then you're going to get them on their heels a little bit. Now that kind of opens up the passing game.
We'll certainly find out. Make sure you follow Matt at Pigs.com. Matt, I can't thank you enough, brother.
Okay. Take care, man. Have a good week.
You bet. We'll see you Saturday. Matt Weaver from Pigs.com joining us to talk about this week's Indiana football game up in East Lansing against Michigan State, the Spartans. We've got a lot more coming up here from the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios. We got a lot more Indiana basketball to talk about when we get back. Stay tuned. Indiana Sports Beat Radio back with more right after this. Hello, everybody. Jim Coyle from Indiana Sports Beat. When I'm not covering the Hoosiers, you can find me at Bubba's 33 in Clarksville, located on the northeast corner of I-65 at Veterans Parkway. Bubba's 33 has hand-tossed pizzas, bold burgers, and ice-cold beer from a select list of local craft brewers. An incredible food selection, all made fresh daily. Whether you're meeting the team for that post-win meal in the family dining area or meeting friends for happy hour to watch the game on one of Bubba's 50 TVs. Bubba's 33 in Clarksville. Pizza, burgers, beer.
We all want a winning smile for those championship photos, and that's exactly what you will get at Reynolds Family Dentistry in Sellersburg. Reynolds Family Dentistry has been serving the dental needs of Hoosier families for over 30 years. Let Doctors Roger and Jay Reynolds take care of your family. Just off of I-65 at 809 South Indiana Avenue in Sellersburg. Call 812-246-3368. That's Reynolds Family Dentistry, 812-246-3368.
Now that warm weather has arrived, it's time to hit the links, and there's no better place than the Golf Club at Eagle Point in Bloomington. Voted best golf course by the readers of the Bloomington Herald-Times, the Golf Club at Eagle Point is under new ownership, has new fairways and bunkers, and it's open to the public. When the round's over, there's cold beer and a full menu at the Eagle Point Pub and Bistro. Call 812-824-1100 to make a tee time. That's 812-824-1100. The Golf Club at Eagle Point in Bloomington.
This is AJ Moye.
This is Dan Dockett.
Hey, this is Michael Lord, former Indiana basketball player.
This is Indiana football coach Tom Allen.
This is Jim Coyle with the Indiana Sports Beat. You can always like and follow us on Facebook. Always follow the show rebroadcast on iTunes, Google Play, iHeartRadio, Spotify. TheDailyHoosier.com is a great place to sign up for each and every day. Or, of course, on 97.7 The Ref in Evansville. For the best recycling and waste removal service, turn to the area's leader, Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling, a homegrown company serving southern Indiana since 1995. Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling serves Floyd, Clark, Harrison, and Washington counties. For excellent service and peace of mind, call Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling today at 812-944-5642. That's 812-944-5642. Keep life sweet with Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling.
I'm Rain Shaddy, and I'm a Hoosier. As a toddler, you could always find me running around in a cream and crimson onesie and a red IU hat reminiscent of those worn during the world-famous William Tell timeout, shouting, "Go Hoosiers!" Like many other alum, I chose to make Bloomington my home. As a civic and alumni leader, I have become very knowledgeable about our community and would love to share my insights with you as your realtor. Find me on Facebook or call or text me, Ryan Shaddy, with FC Tucker Bloomington Realtors at 765-623-9093.
This is James Blackman Jr., former Indiana Hoosier. Make sure you're keeping up with the Hoosiers on Indiana Sports Beat.
Today's guest is brought to you by Bubba's 33 in Clarksville, with hand-tossed pizzas, bold burgers, and ice-cold beer. Pizza, burgers, beer. Bubba's 33 in Clarksville. Welcome back to Indiana Sports Beat Radio. Coming to you from the Golf Club Eagle Point Studios. What in the world was that? Oh, okay. I didn't know the front side of that. I'm like going, I didn't know where that was going. Muddy Waters. All right. Throwback. Come on. Let it roll. Hey, text into the show. Does the Big Ten Network show the IU game on their main channel Saturday, ? Or like last week, they showed the other game and put the IU game on the alternate channel? Well, I think this is a 3:30 game. Is this on Big Ten? Big 3:30? It's an IU Michigan State, so as long as it's a good game, that's going to be one that they want to show. Indiana's a 14-point underdog, by the way. I wonder, does that change? Does that not matter who the quarterback is? I would think I'd be awfully tempted if I was a gambler to take those points if Michael Penix starts, and I think that he will.
It's the only Big Ten game at 3:30 on BTN, so it'll be.
So there you go. So the BTN it's the only BTN game that they have at 3:30, so it should be on the main deal. Indiana, Michigan State, some exposure. Some exposure. Also this weekend, Northwestern travels to Wisconsin. Let's show you how good Wisconsin is and how much Northwestern has fallen. Wisconsin's a 24-point favorite. That's a lot of points over a team that a lot of people picked to win the Big Ten West. Michigan is at home to Rutgers. There's some medicine they need. They're a 27.5-point favorite. Texas Tech travels to Oklahoma outside of the Big Ten. Penn State going to Maryland. What do you think the spread is on that? 6.5 points, Penn State. People still buying the Big Ten's not as solid as it has been, top to bottom. The teams at the top, you got Ohio State, and I think you got Wisconsin right now. And then you got some good teams, but not some great teams. I think Wisconsin, they could be up there. I know Ohio State is. We've seen that. But if Indiana can get its business together, man, you got to catch these teams when they're down or not as good. Like right now, you got a shot to beat Michigan State. You might have a shot to beat Penn State when you travel to Happy Valley later in the season. You have a shot to beat Michigan this year. They've not been what they normally have been. But you've got to get your business together now. Duke's at Virginia Tech this weekend. Virginia Tech's a 3-point favorite. Looking for any other Big Ten games. Not Kansas traveling to TCU. Les Miles. He's got the Jayhawks at 2-2, but they got some troubles coming. Number 1, Clemson travels to North Carolina, where they're a 26.5-point favorite. Minnesota is at Purdue. How about this? Minnesota is at Purdue. Minnesota is a 1-point favorite. On the road in West Lafayette. You got number 21 USC traveling to number 17 Washington. Huskies are a 9.5-point favorite. Alabama's at home to Mississippi, where they're a 38-point favorite. Number 10 Notre Dame is at home to Virginia. Number 18 Virginia. This is a team that Indiana was playing a couple years ago and beating. They're number 18 this year, right now. They're 4-0. I think that's going to get shattered. I think that's a paper 4-0. They're in the ACC, and the ACC is about as weak gets. Their big-name teams are all down. Louisville's down. Florida State's down. Except for one little team at the top. But as a league, they're not very tough. Notre Dame's a 12.5-point favorite. Florida Atlantic, they're traveling to Charlotte. That's Lane Kiffin. And my brother will be meeting Lane Kiffin. How about that? I don't see any. I'm looking for some other. You got Kansas State going to Oklahoma State. The Cowboys are a 4-point favorite. I think I must have run through all the Big Ten. Oh, there's Ohio State, Nebraska. A late night game, 7:30. Out in Lincoln. 4-0, number 5, Ohio State, taking on a 3-1 Nebraska team. The Buckeyes are a 17.5-point favorite. I bet it's not been very often that Nebraska is a 17-point underdog in their own stadium. Kentucky on the road to South Carolina. They're a 3-point underdog to the Cox. Wyoming looking good this year. Houston. You remember them? Remember how good they were? They're on the road to North Texas as a 7-point underdog. Houston is a 7-point underdog to North Texas. This is the same Tom Herman squad that was killing it just a couple years ago. Of course, Tom Herman now off to Texas. Man, I love Saturday night football. Late games, those late games. You got Washington State, the Cougs, taking on Utah, number 19 Utah. That's it. I'm looking forward to that game. Maybe we'll just to get the quotes. Utah's a 5.5-point favorite. Hawaii. Well, we don't have a great late game this week because Hawaii actually travels to Nevada. So they play that game at 10:30 our time. Nevada, 2-point favorite. That's a team that beat Purdue earlier this season to start the season off. And then you've got UCLA and Arizona also at 10:30. That'll have to be a snooze fest. Arizona's a 7-point favorite. Illinois is on a bye this week. Georgia's on a bye this week. Ball State has a bye this week. There's a lot of others. I'm just giving some of the notables. Number 3, Georgia, after their big win over Notre Dame. Illinois, surprising 2-2 so far. Louisville's on a bye this week. The Hurricanes also have a bye. A lot of byes. Number 13, Oregon. Tennessee starting the season 1-3. Whoo! How bad of a season are they looking forward to? Because they're just now about to start SEC play. This is going to be a disaster for them. Number 11, Texas is also on a bye this week. Indiana, I believe, has a bye next week. That's right, they do, because it coincides with Hoosier Hysteria, which is next Saturday. Are you coming? Are you coming to the Simon Scott Assembly Hall? A lot going on the basketball side. Yesterday was Basketball Media Day. Talked to a ton of the players. One of those, of course, Trace Jackson Davis, one of the new faces, a freshman. How much can be expected of him to contribute this year? Well, as much as possible. He's a pretty athletic dude. He brings a lot to the table. Big 6'9", stretch 4. We had the opportunity to talk with Trace Jackson Davis yesterday. Let's hear what he had to say.
Trace, a lot of talk coming in, one of the highest ranked recruits coming in. You've had some time to spend with this team. What's been your observations of being with this team, and what do you think you bring to them?
I really just focused on just getting our team chemistry down, just trying to fit in, just trying to get well with the team, my teammates. But I think that we've done that really well, and we've all been working hard. So,
Trace, you're obviously making a big jump here from the physicality side of the game from high school to college. Can you talk about the value you're getting in going up one-on-one with like Joey or Duran, and how much their leadership is helping you make that leap?
It's really good leadership. All the upperclassmen have been really good. Just battling them every day. That Big Ten toughness and physical style of play, I think that's going to help me in the long run, especially going against those two guys every day in practice.
That was Trace Jackson Davis. from Indiana Basketball Media Day yesterday as the Hoosiers prepare to open up the season. First day of practice 3 days from now, September 28th. Next week, we're off to Chicago on October 2nd for Big Ten Media Day. All the coaches, all the players, Devontae Green and Deron Davis. Couldn't think of it. Well, I had a phone call coming in. It was distracting me. We'll speak with all those guys again. We'll hear from Archie today. He could not make yesterday, so they had to split it up. So we'll have Archie on tomorrow. And then again next week for Big Ten Media Day, we'll have those players in addition to some of the other players around the conference and other coaches around the conference. We'll get the chance to speak to all of them. And then next Saturday is Hoosier Hysteria. It's just boom, boom, boom. It's all coming at you right now. I know a lot of people are excited and ready to get basketball season underway. It's the national polls are not being kind to Indiana. And a lot of Hoosier fans I don't know how they're taking it really. I don't think that they want to believe it. But virtually all the polls I've seen have Indiana finishing 10th or worst. That's not a good sign going into your third season as a coach that your projections are getting worse than getting better. Not a good sign. But projections don't mean jack. It's the result that is all that matters. So that's the good thing is Indiana doesn't have to worry about what the projections are. They just have to perform. But make no mistake about it. There cannot be another missed NCAA season. That cannot happen again. That absolutely cannot happen again. They'll certainly be tested. You got some youths, a lot of new faces. They lost a lot of their production in Juwan Morgan and Romeo Langford. We all know that. But they have the talent. Devontae Green, I know he's looking forward to getting that ball into his hands a little more. Hopefully Deron Davis can stay healthy. That's going to be a huge key. But he's got a pretty good backup in Joey Brunk. You know, we haven't heard from Justin Smith yet. Justin Smith, a lot is being expected out of him. He's a third-year guy. He's been playing since he got here. One of the things he said he was working on, and I thought of Todd Leary and almost laughed, but is his three-point shooting. That he intends for that to be a part of his offense this year. And I'm thinking, okay, that's nice and all, but I would prefer that he became a little more dominant in the post. The guy's got a 48-inch vertical leap. He's 6'8". I would be breaking backboards left and right. But he talked about working on shooting. Jake, do you have anything from let's hear what Justin Smith had to say.
Justin, after your first 2 years here, do you feel like you've still just sort of scratched the surface on what your potential could be as a player here?
Yes. I think that every day is an opportunity to get better. I'm going into every day with that mindset, just trying to really focus on how I can make myself 1% better each and every day.
Justin, a lot coming back now as a third-year junior, a lot going to be expected of you. Continue to be one of the leaders down on the front line. What have you been working on over the summer? What have you seen progress? And what are your expectations for this upcoming season?
Really, I was just focused on getting better in every aspect possible. Shooting, dribbling, being more versatile on the floor defensively. But I'm excited to get the season going. We're just looking forward to getting the season started and really just getting started.
There's Justin Smith talking at Indiana's basketball's media day yesterday. Yeah, that's somebody that Indiana needs to get a lot of offensive production out of. He's a third-year player. He has got to be completely indoctrinated into everything that Archie is doing now, knowing what his role should be. I don't know. I'm not sure that we all know exactly what that role is going to be. He's talked more about incorporating the three-point shot into his offense, which, my mode of thinking is leave that to the guys that are the shooters and take your 6'8", 48-inch jumping self down and dominate the paint. But that's just my thought. That's just my thought on that. Which my opinion doesn't much matter there. But there's a lot of new parts and pieces, man. We're going to see how they operate together. Joey Brunk, Trace Jackson-Davis, welded in with Justin Smith, welded in with Deron Davis. They got some big guys down there, some athletic guys that are experienced, with the exception of Trace Jackson on the experience side. But his athletic ability seems to more than make up for that lack of experience. And I'm sure he's gained a lot. He played with Joey Brunk all summer. He's been playing with Deron Davis and those guys now for a couple of months. That's an education, and they're certainly getting it. The improvement of Demezy Anderson, how much is that going to be? Will he be able to bring his shooting prowess to this offense? What is this offense going to look like? Very curious to see how that works out. I expect Devontae Green to be taking a lot of shots. Al Durham has got to contribute from the shooting standpoint, and they've got to get some point production from the point guard. Rob's got to score. Rob Finney's got to score some. Now he doesn't need to be the team leader, the scoring leader on this team. He has a job to do as a point guard, but you also have to depend on that position for points. You've got to make him a weapon. You've got to make him respect you. As a matter of fact, Rob Finney talked about those very things at yesterday's media day. Let's hear it from his own mouth.
Rob, Coach mentioned a few times over the summer he thinks you're capable of being more of an offensive threat. How do you balance at the point guard position kind of being a scorer and a playmaker, and how do you view, maybe that opportunity?
I feel like it starts in practice, so just having that mindset to be more aggressive, I feel like it opens up everything from everybody does. So if I'm more of an offensive threat, it'll open up lanes for my teammates.
There's Rob Finney, Indiana's point guard. That's a guy that I think is going to be I hate to use the word silent leader because there's no such thing as a silent leader. But I think that he is someone that is really taken on quietly a leadership role for that team. He goes about business. He does his job. He knows what his role is. He knows what he's supposed to do. And that's what he focuses on. Indiana's very fortunate to have a kid like Rob Finney at the point. No doubt about that. I know they've been searching for a sub for him for a couple years. Whether they land him this year or not, very possible. Hassan Diarra, I think Indiana may be in good shape with him right now because of how things are shaking out. It's like I think they may be in good shape with Dawson Garcia. Both of those would be incredibly good ads. They would make this class substantially better. The current incoming class. We got a lot more coming up tomorrow on the program. Of course, we'll be getting to the Indiana Sports Beat Reporters segment. Joining us, as always, Dustin Schutte from Saturday Tradition, covering the entire Big Ten. Taylor Lehman from Indiana Rivals. And on the Michigan State side, Chris Solari from the Detroit Free Press. Chris has been with us before. It's been a while, but I look forward to having those guys on. But we appreciate everybody joining us today. Thanks to Matt Weaver For Jake, I'm Jim Coyle from the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios. Until tomorrow with more Indiana Sports Beat, I'm Jim Coyle, and I will see you on the radio.